Tom. He's back again.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and podcast hosts who laugh too loud to that 6+++ show. I am your host, Tom, the one with the booming voice. We're going to try and manage my sound a bit better today. I'm back once again with the lovely 6++40k team, bunch of nerds from all over the UK. We are going to be talking about dedicated transports tonight. Is there anything more exciting than a thing whose job it is to get something else to somewhere else? You know and love them. They're actually having a great addition, transports in general, and I think there's actually a lot of differences and a lot to dive into as we tease out why certain ones are really, really good in the game, why other ones perhaps a little bit lackluster. The haves and have-nots, if you will. We know that's what tier lists are all about, and we are here with tier list energy for you tonight. We also have a bunch of self-promotion, like more self-promotion than normal, because we are very good at it, possibly the best, and we've got a few big announcements that have gone out this week, so we're going to build on that. Before I do any of that, shout us out in the chat. Let us know you're here. I'd love to talk to you. But I'm also going to introduce our cast of players. I'm going to start where I typically like to start. This is with my dear leader, Chris, the Capitan. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm a bit tired, Tom.
Oh, no, not tiredness.
I know. I spent my day, trying to shepherd 6 and 7 year olds around to do what I've asked them to, do your work and stop doing the loser sign because you won a game of cups and saucers because now you're making 3 other 6 and 7 year olds cry and all the standard day-to-day stuff that we all like, know and love. So it turns out 6 and 7 year old children are actually more hard work than 10 and 11 year old children. Wasn't expecting that. They're not just terrified of my big booming voice. They're just like, it was your birthday last Tuesday. Happy birthday. And I'm like, not doing that today. Not today. That's me.
Amazing.
How are you?
Awesome. Yeah, I'm good. I've had a fun week starting to just suss out options for LGT. I played some GSC this week. The GSC was fun. It was good. It was very good, actually.
They're not good, Tom. Everyone says they're not good. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know they're not good, but that Innis list is good. Like the Outlander is definitely good, and it's very me, lots of trash and idiots. So I have enjoyed it. I'm sure, as with all lists, I will eventually figure out why it's awful and why I find it frustrating. But in the short term, very, very enjoyable. And so I have built a couple of GSC characters to get finish my collection. I've got a Locust here.
Cheeky.
Little stabby locust man, and I've got I ordered on eBay. It is the Benefactus, which was the new one they got, who's like a brain guy. Fun fact about this guy: he's got like 2 las cannon shots on his hazardous shot, but he's got 3 wounds. So he is primed and ready to blow his own brain up, which I really enjoyed. I think I've got a lot of
style, right?
I've got a lot of time for that. I think that's really fun. I don't think the Benefactus is actually good right now. I think the Locust is good, but I don't know about the Benefactus. But yeah, so that's been fun. It's been quite fun digging into an army I've not played in ages because I put it down because I couldn't really deal with the thought of it. But actually, they're slightly less hoardy right now because it's not like millions of neophytes. It's more like little 5-mans running around and dying. So I found that pleasantly enjoyable so far. So they're in the thinking. They are a possible. If I can emotionally deal with inadvertently handing Rob best Archon, which would be a tough sell. Speaking of our best Archon, he is here tonight. Rob, how are you doing, mate?
Oh, good, thanks, mate.
Excellent. Have you done any hobbying, Rob? I know you've had busy times in your real life.
Yeah, I've not a lot, but I've been painting up my community challenge model.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so he's almost done. I'm at the stage now where you're painting something like, do I keep pushing it further and do I completely ruin it or do I stop?
Yeah.
So
there's always the fear.
Yeah, I've repainted the lead pad about 3 times now. So.
Mm-hmm. And what model are you going to spoil? What model you've gone for and what scheme you've gone for, Rob?
It's Dark Angels Combi Lieutenant.
Oh, beautiful! Yeah, very nice. That's one of the cooler models out of the new box, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
Super, super good. Excellent. And I'm guessing for LGT, you're probably thinking Drukhari, right, Rob?
Yeah, but I'm going to the doubles as well with our own Jack Dotty. So I'm not bringing my Trixie Elves. I'm deciding between 3 different factions. So it could be Drukhari, but they will be with 6 Talos.
I love it.
And Urian, or Dreadnought spam, or Lehman Russ spam, because I want to
beautiful.
I don't have to think too much about.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Well, best of luck with that. I mean, I've got a hunch that you and Dotty will win some doubles. I'm calling it now because Jack Dotty's a little killer. He pretends to be all fluffy and fun, but actually he's very dangerous.
Very, very dangerous. It does until it absolutely destroys you.
Yeah, well, the fact it's all Skaven models makes it harder to second guess and predict.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody in the chat. I'll shout out those we've got so far. Do pipe up and let us know what you're doing. So we've got Christopher Richardson who says, surely the Tyrannocyte will be top tier. Well, it's in the tier list. Let's see where it ends up. Christopher Richardson. We have got Sam Dunn saying, good evening. Nice to see you, Sam Dunn. Kobe's in. Hello. Connor Nichols is in, our Black 10 Plus superstar. And Sam Dunn asks, can we have an LGT love-in for Chris and send him our energy spirit bomb style? The last I Am the Hammer was sad times. Yeah, I know. Our captain's having a bit of a moment. He does this sometimes. He's a little bit down on his own sort of place with the game and with Grey Knights right now. I think he'll have a storming LGT and then he'll feel a lot better. But what I was really enjoying was our community being super loving and like raising Chris up in the comments of that video. It was really nice. There was a lot of people being like, you've got this, man. Don't overthink it.
I really like this one. And I'm like, you're all wrong. It's all shit.
But it happens. It does happen with armies. We go through. I've had this recently with Drukhari. Drukhari aren't bad. Drukhari are great. Well, I've just had a bit of being like, I just feel like I'm hitting my head against the wall with it. And I lose the same games, I win the same games. I'm not feeling that kind of flex in the middle at the moment. Sometimes you need to change it up, right? So maybe we'll badger our captain to try something new after the slate if one of his other armies is peeking out sexily at him, saying, "Oh, give us a go. Yeah. Let's do something." Kobe says, "Can't wait to see all at LGT. Going to be a blast." And yes, we're going to do an LGT photo for all of our followers and supporters. We're going to have a 6 of us community photo at the LGT. That will be, I think, Saturday lunchtime. Chris, we're thinking.
Yeah, I'm going to put it on the Discord because on the Discord I put up a post as like who's going. We've got like over 40 of us in the Discord, which is like 10% of the entire Discord is going. We're currently thinking. I mean, I'll put this all up, but 1:00 on the athletics track out the back. If you want to be in the photo, come join us, and we'll just have a nice big photo. It'll be good.
Yeah. It's going to be really fun. So nice to have all the crazy people that support us there. And speaking of crazy people and supporting us, there are going to be some opportunities to do that coming up very, very soon. So let's go to announcement land. Chris, the big reveal has happened.
There was a big
What's happening? There was.
Well, it was so big that 13 people watched it live.
Oh, my word.
I know. That's wow. I know.
That's bonkers.
The thing is, like, a minimum of at least 1,000 people listen or watch our podcast in some form.
Yeah.
Only 500-ish people have watched our announcement trailer. So does that mean that at a minimum of 500 people don't know what our big announcement is?
Could be.
Well, if you don't know, you're about to find out. We announced that we are going to be running our very own tournament. And we've gone for the very imaginative name of that 6++ Grand Tournament. So we're going to be hosting that, as we said previously in our teaser announcement, on March the 15th and 16th. It's going to be hosted at Prestige Wargaming in Barnsley. And tickets go live on the Prestige Wargaming website on October the 15th. And that's actually the date of our podcast. It's a Tuesday. So we'll have to intertwine that somehow.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
But we've got a 60-person event, WTC terrain. There's a whole host of really exciting. It's going to be live streamed, but there's a whole host of other interesting and slightly different things that we're planning on doing and setting our event aside. We're not about to start putting out a 6++ event every month, right? We're looking to hopefully probably do 2 a year, one in the first half of the year up north, and one in the second half of the year down south. And that's going to be something that where the events are, a bit more of a premium luxury type style event. They're not just going to be a standard event. Over the next month, we're going to be revealing more information to try and encourage you to be like, this is why you should buy your ticket early. Obviously, the main reason you buy your ticket early is because then we actually have the money, so we can then spend that money on things.
It's lovely spending money on
things. Because if you don't have the money, then you can't actually buy the things, right?
But also you have to get the tickets before they sell out because this will be a runaway freight train success.
We're through various sources. We've already had like 60 people say they want to come.
Yeah, it's pretty
so, we're pretty confident it is going to sell out pretty quickly. And I'm also fairly confident it's probably going to, for most of the attendees there, it's probably going to be their favourite ever tournament they've been to. Just putting out there now.
That's the feeling I've got because we are very good at tournaments, possibly the best.
Yeah. It's just a hunch, really, but I'm pretty sure it's
so.
going to be most of the attendees. It's going to be their favourite ever tournament. So if you want to go to your favourite, and that's quite an exciting time, isn't it? Right? You're sat there going, I've got the opportunity to go to my favourite ever tournament on March the 15th.
Unbelievable.
That's crazy, right? Yeah. So if you want to be in that position, keep following on. There's a Facebook event page, which you can find on our actual Facebook page or on the Discord. We've got if you haven't watched the trailer yet, it's up there on the big announcement. It says, just listen to that. And Cheeky Nurgling got access to our behind the scenes team meeting.
Yeah, unbelievable.
We discussing
how did that get out?
Variety. I don't know. It's completely candid.
I think it's the same Nurgling that leaked Deadpool.
That would make sense. But either way, there was some stuff going on in that conversation.
Some hijinks. Yeah,
there was some genuine
stuff was said.
Thankfully, the censorship god got in there in time and was able to beep some bits out. But so check that out, guys, if you haven't. But yeah, that's the main one. We're going to be hosting our very own tournament.
Yeah, get involved. It's going to be really, really fun. WTC terrain, loads of prizes for best sport. We're going to absolutely shower those lovely sporting people with all the praise they deserve. And we'll have live streaming, commentating, all of the boys in attendance. It's going to be really, really fun. And we'd love to see you there. So get involved. And tickets going up on the 15th of October. So loads of time in advance to beg, borrow, and scrape and make your plans. And we're not planning to do many. The ones we do will be very good. That's the idea. Quality over quantity. There's a lot of talk about getting drunk at LGT in the chat, and I'm just going to say, if that's how you want to play LGT, go for it. Have the best time. My team know I can't do that because I'll forget where everything is and fall over. I think that's about it for announcements. The only other things to say are, we've got a ton of content coming out. So Davey has started on a new adventure with Bloodwatch this week, so go and watch that. That dropped this week. He's got a video called Is Shooting Cheating, which I've got a lot of time for. He is going to be diving into World Eaters a lot more. He's been playing them a little bit behind the scenes. Obviously, he's a Tyranids guy, but he's really determined to make some good World Eaters content to put out there and really document his learning experience. I might be coming along with him a little bit to discuss that, because World Eaters are a really interesting army. I think they're a lot of fun to talk about. We've got Chris's I Am the Hammer has gone out. So, as I say, Chris is having a bit of a thinking moment with the Grey Knights, trying to puzzle them out. But get involved and watch that if you haven't. And since the last show, we have also had Scrivo.BlackRage talking all about Blood Angels and the changes there. Rock and Stone has returned, and I have released a video called The Great Plan. So if you want to learn about a 40k boy trying to play AOS 4, and I have had my first game now, and it did not go well. So lots and lots of fun. Really, really enjoying it, but I'm at the start of a steep cliff, it feels like. But if you want to learn all about Lizardmen and Seraphon, I'm very determined to make a little AOS sort of sub-community, get that going in our Discord as well. So do pipe up. If you want to have channels for different AOS factions, you don't see what you want there already, let us know. And finally, of course, hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Do leave us comments. It all helps the algorithmic gods.
Tom just vanished, podcast listeners. I suspect he might have been clicking around so much that he's probably just hit cross on his actual tab. That would be my expectation. But this feels a perfect opportunity where I can talk about another video that I have recorded, or a whole 5 of them. Oh, hey Tom, you're back. Did you accidentally close your?
Probably did, yeah. I think I probably did. I don't know exactly what happened, but I'm back now, guys. That's the main thing. So yeah, hit like and subscribe and comment, or I might disappear again forever. Who knows? It's very possible.
Oh, Tom, I was just about to tell everyone about Yuumi and the UKTC.
Oh my goodness, Chris. That sounds like a really exciting concept.
That's a really exciting concept. It's one we did a couple of years ago with Mr. Ed Fawcett, where he went through each of the missions on the UKTC mission train pack and kind of deep dive them. Spoke a lot about triangles.
Yes, he did.
With Ed doing Old World content, I took up the reins. And one sleepy Sunday night, I recorded an hour's worth of UKTC content. So beautiful. Over the next, I've got it thinking of it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. They're about 10-minute long videos as I talk through each mission and the general approach you want to be having to the mission, a whole host of interesting things, how and where you can deploy for scoring your secondaries and the key places to be. I tried my best to discuss all the different opportunities that each mission shows, and kind of any issues you need to handle, where to deploy, where the hotspots are on the different maps, and all that sort of thing. So we'll be releasing that just in time for LGT, really, and then so you can watch those and look in the comment, tell me in the comments how wrong I am.
Yeah, 100%. I think if you're limbering up to go to, say, an enormous UKTC event in the next couple of weeks, these are going to be just the ticket for you to give you a little bit of homework, get you clued in on how the terrain sets and missions work. They are very different. I'm enjoying new UKTC. It presents different challenges to what it did before, and actually understanding the different maps. And actually, there's a very real difference in character between map and missions actually across this pack. It's not the same thing every time. So understanding it really important. Shout out to Sam Dunn in the chat who says, is the Burden of Trust video just audio of screaming?
I think my opening line is something like, Burden of Trust. I really hate this mission. My opening line. So
yeah. 100%, I think, but Terraform also is definitely a mission that happens. I had a really fun game playing Terraform today, where I got to do all the stuff that you can do when you're playing Terraform. And I was like, this is amazing. Just ticking off all this primary for yourself. Like, oh, you poor man for not going first. Oh man! Shout out as well to Ola Bankston in the chat. He says they are AOS Curious and Seraphon are my army of fancy. Well, come over to the Discord, go up to our little rules section, click AOS, and you will unlock a world of little chats that are just starting to blossom. And you can see some pictures in there of my Croxigor whacking a wizard in a game that I have soundly lost as a sort of late consolation. They've just cornered and beaten up a lone sorcerer at the back of the board. It's a good time. Very, very good fun. Alrighty then. So that's all the promotional nonsense. We are going to launch into our main event. I'm going to try not to close my own screen. But I make no promises because it is me. And I like that people in the chat seem to have identified this as something I'm very prone to. So we've got a little tier list mocked up, and we're going to be talking about the dedicated transports of the 40k universe and ranking them in a tier-based system. What makes a good transport? We'll start trying to suss that out as we go. It's going to be interesting. I actually think probably transports having the best edition of the ones I've played in. I think they are much more active and out there in armies and in use for a much wider range of armies much more often than I've seen in a long time. And I think there's a bunch of reasons for that, which we can discuss after we've ranked them all. But I think it's going to be fun trying to work out which ones we like and which ones we think are rubbish. So, Chris, perhaps if I can have some sort of screen sharing access, I can...
Yeah, you need to click that button, right?
Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, so we'll do that.
If you click your button, and then I can...
Okay. And then I think... Which one is it? I hope it's this. Actually, if I just close this one, and then it could only be this one. I'm really good at this. This one. Let's go.
Oh,
can you see that?
I can see that, and I can add it to the screen, and I can move it to the top, and
that's beautiful.
Boom.
We've got a whole bunch of transports. So many damn transports. And we've got S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, and D tier to put them in. So this might take us a few goes to smooth things out. Do let us know in the chat what you think as we go. And if we've got it drastically wrong, let us know in the comment as well. I think it's only fair that I let my cast of players pick a few transports to get us started. I know Chris was saying he's perhaps not the most transport savvy man in the world. So Chris, I'm going to let you pick the first transport. What would you like to discuss first on this brilliant, groundbreaking, dedicated transport tier list?
Thanks, Tom. Well, I'm going to go for one of the very, very few transports that I've played in this edition. And it's one that I played an awful lot in 9th edition, which is the Starweaver.
Beautiful. Okay, so talk us through the Starweaver, Chris.
Okay, so once upon a time in a glorious... time period known as 9th edition, when flying vehicles worked, they were just a thing of beauty. You took 6 or 7, you filled them with Harlequin troop, they flew around the board going wherever the hell they wanted. They were move blocking, they were doing everything. It was incredible. Then what happened in 10th edition is their motors died and they now have to go around terrain. And this is sad because they no longer move any distance at all, really. There's that. The shooting of, I think off the top of my head, it is still -1/2 damage is shite because everything has cover. And they just die to a stiff breeze. On top of that, the things that are actually getting out of them don't really do anything anymore. So Star Weavers are pretty pants these days, and
they are terrible.
That is the reason why you don't really see them. I mean, if we're thinking about our tier list, right? Like you think back to days gone by, maybe when balancing wasn't quite so well done. If a transport was good, it got like properly spammed. I remember 8th edition where people were taking like 9 wave serpents and just like pulse, do 3 mortal wounds. Pew, 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 like that was a thing, right? And that, to an extent, that's good in terms of 10th. Like there isn't anything. There's no one who's abusing transports because of what it was. Obviously, we had a bit of a Land Raider Redeemer issue at one point, but other than that, it's like kind of not happening. So that's nice. So your S tier, I guess, is something that you're seeing in every single list variant. Potentially one more than one of. A tier it's really, really good. B tier, it's a flex choice. C tier, it's not something you're really considering. In D tier, is you're just never going to take it in any sort of list. So in an Eldar list, I would say that Star Wars are probably in that C tier section. Because there is play where people were taking 5 troop and like Yvain, because they've got that ability, haven't they, where you get out and you can shoot, and then if you're not in combat, you can get back in.
The getting back in ability is genuinely really useful. Yeah.
So in certain Eldar builds, you are seeing that one of. Obviously, if you're a madman and taking pure Harlequins, you're going to see loads of them. I don't think it makes its way up to B tier just because it hasn't got that much utility. You know, you're not going, oh yeah, I want to get a couple of Star Weavers into this list if I can. But there is a place where it has a kind of a role in certain list builds. So I think that's where I would.
I think C tier feels very fair. I think it was, as obnoxious as the Harlequin rule set were, those layered defenses helped what amounted to basically no wounds be a powerful army, and without it, it's just a thing with not many wounds, right? So it has to hide. I think probably the fatal thing for the Star Weaver is just that it's a bit bigger and clunkier than the Venom, so it's even harder to stash it away anyway. And then you don't have as many useful things to put in it, right? If you could put Incubi in a Star Weaver, that maybe feels a bit different, but it's just the Harlequin troop, and the main use we've seen for the Harlequin troop is a big foot-slobbing brick, and that's about it, isn't it? So yeah, I think CT is very, very fair. It's not that you would never see it. It's just that it's not particularly good and you really don't need it. Okay, Mr. Kimpton, I'm going to let you pick a transport, my man.
Should I go for one that I don't know the most about?
Yeah, push yourself, mate. Let me have the Drukhari for one.
Let's go Devilfish.
Okay, the Devilfish. Somewhere Jack Chapman's ears are burning.
Say he's switching right now.
Right then, Rob, take us through the Devilfish.
So just for Jack, this is, I think, the best transport in the game. I really like the Devilfish. It's quite resilient. Its rule is you can deliver your shooty guys closer and shoot, which synergizes well with the whole Tau thing. Yep. You can easily make it scout with Pathfinders or Darkstrider.
Yep.
I just think it's a really quite solid chassis. Its downside is it's fucking massive. So
I agree. The size is a problem.
I think they're solid. If breaches weren't a thing, you wouldn't see them.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think they're quite solid. For me, I'll probably put them in as a B because of their clunkiness and their reliance on a single unit. They're kind of single use except for the scouting bits, which really is to scout to get breaches into a better position anyway with rotating guys.
Yeah, I think B is very fair. I think the Devilfish itself is great. Seeker missiles can catch people out. I know I have been caught out by them as well.
Yeah.
They are a flexible little tank. They are like all good transports. They're just that annoying amount of effort to get rid of. They're tough enough. They're big enough that it's like, I have to use actual real good things to kill this. They synergize with a lot of good tricks in some of the detachments, and obviously breaches are a great unit. So yeah, but you can build good Tau lists without them ultimately. And so in that sense, they're not essential. And they don't do, I wouldn't say they do anything so well that you're like, oh my word, this is genuinely noteworthy and let's take loads of them. And we've not really actually seen very successful Tau lists that spammed Devilfish in the end. It hasn't really worked out that way for Tau.
Turns out if you have an infiltrate unit, it just shuts that entire army down.
Yes, it really, really, really does. Yeah, okay. So I am going to take it to the next one. I'm glad to see some people in the chat noticing and appreciating that Moth is in here, because Moth obviously is a dedicated transport. It's got most keywords, to be honest, but it's pretty cool. So I am going to pick. Ooh, I think I'm going to go for the Orc Truck. And the Orc Truck has a few things going for it. It is cheap. Those are the things it has going for it. At this point, I think the Orc Truck has suffered a bit because it used to have the Wrecking Ball, which made it a good strength, which made it had actually a really good tank shot. Now the changes to tank shot have relegated it to just kind of fine at that. So it's lost a lot of offensive potential. I think Orcs in general, obviously... what's nice about the truck is that you can stage all sorts of different Orc infantry in it, including things like Mega Knobs, so it's flexible in terms of its contents, which other transports aren't necessarily, and it is still dirt cheap enough to give you that staging and push that Orcs need, but ultimately it's pretty fragile. It's not especially interesting in and of itself. Its own rules don't really add a ton. And other than maybe occasionally doing a fun like Kareen or something with it in Warhorde, it doesn't have massive application beyond just being a staging transport. So I'd say this is probably in B. I'd say probably below the Devilfish. Orcs players do take them because you do need them. And I do think for an army like Orcs with advanced and charge infantry, having some transports is great. But I don't think this is a world beater. I don't think you're looking across the table going, oh no, they've got 3 Orc trucks. What the hell am I going to do? So I feel like it's a B as well. I don't know what you guys think.
I think it's fucking hilarious when you see an Orc truck move up and then a unit twice the size of the actual truck hops out. and a character hop out. Like, it's so Orky. Like, what the fuck is that? You're like, it's fine. It's Orcs.
Yeah, 100%. It's fine. I also love the model. I think the model's great, although it's for a 60-70 point transport. It's so much effort to build and paint that it's unreal. But that's where we're at. So, Capitan Chris, I'm going to tee you up again. What do you want to talk about
Cool.
next?
Well, we've basically covered all of the transports I know about. So I'll go for the Admech Dune Rider next.
Beautiful. Let's go. What are we thinking?
I don't really know anything about it. I know that it's got lots of shots with no AP, because it still doesn't used to have that. I think they're also twin linked. Okay. I also know that in Skitarii Hunter Cohorts, I did play one game with them, so a bit of a pro now. I'm probably one of the most experienced Admech players out there after my one game. I know that
as many reps as Harley. Very good.
Exactly. I do know that there is a certain build where you do run like 3-4 of these, and you have all like the little 10-mans in, and they run out and do their thing. And you know what, those transports are quite good, especially because of the number of shots they put out. Maybe they do some other things I don't actually know. I probably should have looked this up, but I'm going to do that now.
Mate, it's never too late to go to Wahapedia.
Do you guys have any opinions on the Dune Rider?
Boy, I'm about to. So when it's targeted with a stratagem, you get it back on a 5-up. So that's cool.
That's a very useful ability.
It's got firing deck too. It's actually got a lot of shots, which frankly, its output's pretty good.
That's what I've been saying.
Chaff. Yeah. And it's got the good old fire support, so 4 reroll wounds in synergy with a unit that's disembarked from it. I'll tell you something, Chris. I actually think in its role, that's a good transport.
That was the thing I was forgetting. The rerolls. Rerolls to wins.
I don't know what shooting you can put in it, and I'm guessing it's just trashy guys like Rangers or Vanguard or whatever else. But in terms of volume of shots, I don't hate that. I think that looks pretty good. And a lot of shots with sustained is quite a nice little Overwatch lane as well for chaff. So it's a bully, but that is a lot more effective than, say, an Orc truck.
Yeah. So how many points is it?
Does it have fly now? Because I remember there was always a meme for a while that it was a hover tank without flying. Everything else did.
It still doesn't. No, it still doesn't.
85 points for that bad boy. 85 points for giving reroll wounds to something, and it's rapid fire 9 off 9 shots. So it's 18 shots hitting on 4.
I think that's all right.
Especially in twin links, 36-inch range. Poor. I think we're on to a win here, boys.
I think that's pretty good. I think in Admech, that's pretty good. I don't think you need it, but I think it's very good.
Yeah, I think so. In a lot of builds, if you're taking Skitarii troops, which you obviously are, I think you're going to definitely be taking some of these. So I think it probably goes at B tier.
Yep. Do we think it's better than the Devilfish?
What does the Devilfish do?
It's hop out.
It advance and you can get out.
Okay.
And its contents already reroll wounds most of the time.
So are all tile lists taking Devilfish at the moment?
No, some of them are though. Most have like 1 or 2.
Which is about the same.
I think it's about the same, isn't it?
I'll say.
This has got volume where the Devilfish has some high quality missiles.
Okay. Go just below the Devilfish. Go below.
Let's put it below the Devilfish because I want the Devilfish to somehow win this angering Jack.
I do too. I want the Devilfish to actually be the best in the whole game, just to really annoy Jack.
We might revise our placings towards the end. It's definitely better than an Orc Truck, though.
Yeah.
I actually think that's a solid little transport. That is not bad at all. I've not seen it in terms of its footprint, whether it's a bit obnoxious, but I think that's pretty damn good. Okay, Rob Kimpton, you can now pick another transport. How exciting!
Let's go for a Taurox. Let's do the Prime one because that one's more interesting.
Okay,
Taurox
nice.
Prime. So the Taurox Prime, it's just a T8 3-up save vehicle. It gives reroll wounds just like the Dune Rider. They disembark, but it carries Scions, which have reroll hits and good guns as well.
Oh, that's not bad actually.
So you can come in from Strat Reserve, pop an order on them, and have reroll hits, reroll wounds with 2 melter guns, 2 plasma guns, all kinds of nasty stuff. So I do like it. It's only it's 90 points, so it's quite.
Oh, that's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points for a one-trick pony. So it's probably a 200+ point package for one trick. It's good, but it's expensive.
Yeah, the price point really hurts it there.
Yeah. I really like it. But yeah, pricey. So you have to have a good plan for it. You have to protect it. It's got some good shooting as well.
Where do you reckon it fits, Rob?
I would say high B if it wasn't so fucking expensive. So I might put it bottom of B, I think.
Yeah, I think bottom of B because you see another transport that's on here a lot, but you don't see the Taurox much.
Yeah.
And so I think probably the Taurox is suffering a little bit here, which is a shame. Definitely a shame. Scions are cool, but not cutting it, unfortunately, Mr. Taurox. Till Rob takes Taurox spam to the doubles at LGT and wins.
I'm so god curious now when fuck Bullgrins. No Bullgrins. That looks boring.
I'm gonna reach into one of the armies I play now, and I'm gonna go for what I think is one of the better dedicated transports in the game, and that is the Sagittar. Sagittar is basically just a frontline gun tank that happens to have some dwarves in it. It has got 2-shot sustained D3 las cannon. I have soloed the Incarn with a Sagittar before. It can and does happen. It has also got a nice little twin link sustained bolter underneath. So the sustain means it's got a very obnoxious little Overwatch threat as well. It is T10. It is 3-up save. It is very chunky. It has a scout move, so it can scoot forwards into parts of the board that you want. It's got the advanced and stuff can get out rule, so not the most crucial, but not terrible for getting warriors out and do actions or whatever else and a bit further up the board. I think obviously it can have berserks in who are a world-ending combat unit, so very, very nifty. It can also just have warriors to do your scoring and utility. And the Sagittar is still quite cheap. It is 115 points, so it's a bit pricey than some of the other stuff on here, but this can go toe-to-toe with actual gun tanks in a way that I don't think any of the others we picked can. So I think in that sense, and because the lottery gun that is the High-Las is so fun, and you never really recover from getting sustained D3 on your las cannons and just popping off, I would say this is at minimum an A-tier tank. I think this is very, very, very good.
Do you see any Votann lists without one?
Without multiple.
The only build I've ever seen that doesn't is triple land fort. But these days, even when you're taking triple land fort, you are also taking Sagittars.
I was just about it's such a mainstay of every army.
Yeah,
I mean, and like
it's a huge part of the character of the army with the ability to scout and push or scout and hide. Like it's massive.
Yeah, it's so annoying to deal with.
It splits your idiots from 10-mans to 5-mans, which is massive as well, doesn't it?
It does. It gives you your way into cheap chaff, and it's also way better now that you have Jaegers in front, so you actually have lanes you can scout on, without just getting blocked by 5 scouts and a plan. So I think the Sagittar is minimum A, and I don't know about you guys, I can only really see maybe one transport on this list that I think is better.
Yeah.
So it's it's not impossible. I would actually consider an S tier for this.
I'd say S tier.
I think S tier. A, because it's S for Sagittar.
Yeah, there we go.
And B, because dwarves are sexy, and S is also sexy. So
okay.
I have good reasoning. So I think that one's very, very, very good. So we're now going to invite Chris back to the plate. Chris, what are you thinking next?
Okay, there's only one more I know anything about, so we're on the Wave Serpent.
Okay, yeah, Wave Serpent.
So the Wave Serpent, like all Eldar, I think moves quite well. It's got 14-inch move, only T9, 13 wings. It does have its place.
It's quite a decent amount of wins.
Got 5-up invuln, which is quite tasty.
Very, very good.
Obviously, take a. Everyone takes a Bright Lance, don't they? So you've got a Bright Lance shot there. In terms of its abilities, it's got its Wave Serpent shield. So you get to do D3 morsels and make someone do a battle shot test once a battle. Can hold 12 infantry or 6 Wraith Guard. After Eldar hit their whatever it was 8th nerf and finally people stopped taking them, there was then that moment where people switched to MSU and suddenly everyone was like, fire dragons in a Wave Serpent. Let's do that. That's a thing that's now going to be the case for 1 month, and everyone did that for a while. I'm not up to date on what successful Eldar lists have been doing.
It's because there haven't been any.
There haven't been many. I've been keeping a bit of an eye out, and obviously I'm aware of kind of like the double or triple brick builds at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, this thing costs 120 points. Yeah. And I think you can make an argument for 120 points if we're in a heavy indirect meta, or there's something really scary that you want to protect that's jumping out of that. The reality is there isn't anything that's really scary that's jumping out of that. People have tried to argue for Howling Banshees, and I'm sorry, but no. So
Howling Banshees absolutely suck.
So
I haven't tested it either.
It's just not good, right? So
Karandras and 10 boys.
That could be a thing. I mean,
that's where my brain goes. That's a casual 400-500 point dunk, isn't it?
Like a quarter of your army in one transport and one unit.
Big old Jim in the chat has a point, which is that you just take the Falcon for plus 20 points.
Exactly.
That does loom. The Falcon looms large over the Wave Serpent in the dedicated
you've got that
transport
first turn drop, don't you? So I'm afraid it's definitely C tier. Is it D tier? That's the question.
I think you see this more often than you see the Starweaver, right?
Yeah. Every one of my Ynnari list has had a Wave Serpent in it.
Yeah.
Have they?
I saw there was a list that did very well at the Warhammer World event we went to it was playing a 5-man Wraith Guard with the Spirit Seer and using the Wave Serpent. And there's actually some quite fun stuff you can do with that. So I think it's one of those things, and Eldar are one of those armies where, again, there is stuff going on here that you can do. It's just that no one is really doing it very much at the moment for a combination of them being a bit nerfed and sad and also just a bit out of vogue. I do think a Wave Serpent offers you quite a nice little bit of solidity. I actually think my main complaint with the Wave Serpent is just that it has an enormous footprint, and there's just only certain terrain types on which you can really get it anywhere. And it's just so unwieldy. And although it is actually deceptively durable, it would be a lot more durable if you had, I don't know, more fate dice or something, which you don't anymore. It's just a bit so-so. And you're probably going for the Falcon if you are going for it. And so a lot of the lists for Eldar are just foot slogging anyway at the moment.
Yeah, that's
because indirect is a lot less prevalent. Very good. Rob Kimpton, we're going to tee you up now. What would you like to talk about, sir?
Shall I go for an easy one for me? Let's go.
Go on, let's do it.
Let's go the Venom.
Yes, the Venom. Where are we putting the Venom? Yeah.
It's going to be up high. I don't think.
Oh, yeah. of the two Drukhari ones, it's my favourite by a mile.
Yeah, it is. It's so much more fun. So, so what Chris said about the Starweaver, the Venom does exactly that.
Yes.
So it's a little bit smaller. It's got some anti-infantry shooting. It splits your idiots up. So instead of taking 10 men, you can have multiple 5-mans.
Mm-hmm.
It gets sticky objectives with Cabalites.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the fight phase, you can just re-embark if you're not in engagement range. So it means
so good.
So it means your shooting guys can hop out into the open, shoot, and end of the fight phase, hop in. Your choppy guys can hop out, kill something in combat, end of the fight phase, hop back in.
Yep.
And there's just a lot of Eldar bullshit you can do with it, with just movement shenanigans, getting in and out. At deep strikes, if you load up your guns in Cabalites, it actually shoots really hard. I had the last game I played at a GT, I had one of them pick up 2 knights, one a turn, little knights, and they can just pop off and kill things.
Yeah, it's the innate deep strike has changed the Venom in massively, right? It's just the application in so many matchups is unbelievable.
Yeah. So I think they're absolutely good. I think they're going to be in A. You can't run Drukhari without them, but they're still fragile as all hell. If anyone sees them, they die horribly.
I think that's it. At the end of the day, it's literally 6 wounds. The 6 I've been, I'm still furious with whoever decided Drukhari vehicles were too tough. Someone wrote like a really bitchy article on Goonhammer in 9th edition, and ever since, someone's had it out for the Drukhari transports. I'm like, what if we just made them basically auto collapse into any kind of offense from anything? And the Venom is in the camp of can be killed by some pistols and a grenade.
Yeah.
Like, someone puts their corn berserkers in front of you, you're like, oh no, Venom's gone go.
When he gets one-shotted by a grenade, you're like, oh, that's sad.
You're like, oh, good. Oh, great. Please do kill all the contents as well. I would love that. So, I mean, it's the workhorse of the army in many ways right now. It opens up all the little interplays that let Drukhari players do things, and so many opponents bamboozled over this edition by Venom nonsense.
Yeah.
And what I think gives it the edge over the Starweaver is that you can have 4 in a list that are actually all doing completely different jobs because of the way they combine with the different Drukhari units, the Battle Line, the Witches, the Cabalites, and the fact that you can also just have a melee hammer unit in there with an Incubi with an Archon that's just a world-ending threat. So I think Venoms are fantastic. The stream game, I was on the Hellstorm stream playing into Flesh Terrors, and that game is just an episode of this is what Venoms do. Sorry, Space Marines. Here they are. They are literally in all 4 corners, blasting you to pieces, stabbing you to pieces. They're just unbelievable in certain matchups, and probably let down just a little bit by the fact that if you sneeze, they die. Really, really good. Right, okay, what am I going to go for now? So I am going to go for Loyalist Rhinos. And you'll see that this Rhino here. So I think the Rhino is not seeing much play for Loyalist Space Marines. It sees a bit of play in Sisters, but not as much play as a certain other tank. And it sees a little bit of use in your agency type builds as well, and sometimes in Custodians. I think Chaos Rhinos are having a great time. We'll get to them later. I actually think Loyalist Rhinos in general are very meh. They are absolutely not essential to builds. They are very often not taken, and they offer very little to most Imperium armies outside of just being a box that gives you some staging that is tough. And I think that gets compounded by what's coming up for Blood Angels, because one of the best combos was the Rhino with Death Company on foot in. That's now going to be gone because I don't think Death Company and foot are anything like as scary as they were. So I would have these in C tier as well. I don't think they're bad. I think they function, but I don't think you see a ton of them, and I don't think they're especially important. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I'd probably have them in top of C.
I'm glad they aren't what they were in Leviathan, where they were just in every list, just sitting there scoring 20 points on secondaries by themselves.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's definitely a better place for them now. But I think, basically, ultimately what lets them down is that they just don't synergize as well with the way those armies play as some of the bullshit you can do with Chaos Rhinos. So I think they're just less seen. And I'll shout out Scrivo, who is always very sad about his Loyalist Rhinos and wanted me to put in a good word for them. I'm actually going to put them below the Wave Serpent, but above Starweavers, because the Wave Serpent at least has some damage.
Because they can only take firstborn Marines, can't they, as well? That's really sad.
That's the thing. Very heavy restrictions in terms of what they can take. And I think, with the Death Company on foot going away as one of the units that Loyalist Rhinos liked, I think it's definitely less effective now. Alrighty, so this is fun because Chris, by his own admission, has run out of things he knows anything about. And it's Chris's turn. Chris, what are you picking?
Well, thankfully, Tom, I own some codexes. So I've been scrolling through my app and I've got the Necron Codex.
Oh, sweet.
Ghost Ark there. Let's go just talk about the Ghost Ark.
Mate, that is a Ghost Ark. Yeah, that's prime Necron real estate right there. So let's talk about the Ghost Ark.
I had a moment where I was like, oh no, that might not be a Ghost Ark, and this is about to get really embarrassing. So, the humble Ghost Ark, movement 10, T9, 3 up save, but 4 up invulnerable and 14 wounds. He's a chunky boy. Does he have any output? No, not really. He has he's got lethal hits on his pointless guns, but other than that, he's got quite a lot of shots. His thing is that he's a repair barge, so I'm sure we all remember those really fun times where we had like Necron warriors stood around a ghost barge, and whenever you shot them, not only were they just healing themselves all the time, but the barge did that as well.
Yeah.
And it just basically enabled them to enact their reanimation protocols, and everyone loved life. These are 125 points, though.
Ooh, that's steep.
So in order to take one of these, realistically, you have to be thinking, are Necron warriors good? And I don't actually know, because I've not really looked at any other lists, Necron lists, apart from Hypocrite lists, and they're not exactly common.
I think it's fair to say that in Pariah, in Pariah, the 20-man is good, but that won't fit. And the 10-man is meh, right? I think the 10-man in a Ghost Ark doesn't do it. So you'd probably run one just to follow around a 20-man for the healing.
Yeah.
But then you're going to have stuff in it, because otherwise it's destroyed according to the dedicated transport rules, which means you're paying for a unit you probably don't want. Can it take Immortals?
You can just put Cesaris in it. That's fine.
Can it?
It's 10 Necron warrior models and 1 Necron infantry character model.
Okay.
So you can take Cesaris, right? Because he's infantry.
Yeah, so you can take Ceres or a hex mark in there or something. So you could get around it. I suspect this is just that Necrons have in Hypocrite like one of the most mobile armies without needing transports, right? And if they are moving things, it's with the monolith.
Are they in Awakened Dynasty builds? Because that's like the only.
I think they were. And I suspect there's probably a build there that could be relevant at a moment in time. But none of the major builds in Necrons have really needed it, have they? Because it's either been Wraiths or it's been Uppy Downy, and it doesn't really fit in that plan. So what do we think, Chris? Where are we putting the humble Ghost Ark?
I mean, it's really, really horrible to paint as well.
It's awful to assemble and paint.
I mean, I did 3 Doomsday Arcs a long time ago, and it's basically the same model, right? And that was one of the most miserable experiences of my life. So for that, it should probably be even lower. I don't know, bottom of C tier.
Yeah, I'm sort of hungry for blood to put something in D tier, but I don't know.
I mean, do we ever? Shout out in the chat if you've ever used a Ghost Ark in the last 3 months if you're a Necron player.
Because transport is just shit. Is this problem?
Let's put it. I'm going to put it here, and if the chat kick up a fuss, we'll think about it. But I do think this is rubbish, and especially once you factor in building and painting it.
And it's a really big Chronomancer. That's what it is. A really big Chronomancer.
Super sized. It is tough. Yeah. Like, that's his only thing going for it. It is tough. But when you're
you can have a tough chassis like that also has a really good AP4 damage 4 gun on it.
Yes, exactly.
And I think people like that. Big old Jim certainly isn't stepping up to defend it in the chat, and he seems to be a Necron fan. Hello, big old Jim. Nice to have you here. All right, Rob, it's your turn, mate. What are you selecting now?
Let's go for the Impulsor.
Oh, interesting. What do you think of the Impulsor?
I think they're interesting again. The change they made, was it 2 data slates ago, where they changed it from 5 to 6? It went
It's 7. It's 7.
Is it 7 now?
Yeah.
It went from absolutely fucking useless because you couldn't put a 5-man with a character in it to actually decent. I'm not sure how many points they are. I might have to look.
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head, actually.
Certain web page. But yeah, they're fairly tough. You can have a 5-weapon gun, or you can actually get a decent amount of shooting out of them if you think that 3-up armor save with permanent cover is enough. So
yes,
they're fairly resilient. They can get your combat units up, and
it's got firing deck 6, so it can whatever's in there can shoot out.
There was with impulses for a while, wasn't there?
There was Desolation Marine impulses and Eliminators impulses. Yeah, there was all sorts of nonsense.
Yeah, the firing deck, you can do bullshit with one that's about to die with Hellblasters, where you make it hazardous so it blows up and they fall out and shoot again, which sounds good for the game. They're okay. They're better than Rhino. They're better than Rhino.
I think so. I think it'll be interesting to see with the Blood Angels book whether there's any units in there that really like this. I suspect there will be. There is a little captain with Sustain 3 who's going to be in people's dreams. And Blade Guard are not bad coming out of this either. Blade Guard and Judicia fit in this crucially now as well. So you can have your Fight First brick in there. And I think probably if anything holds it back, it's just that a Land Raider's not that much more, right? And Land Raiders have been pretty good this edition. That's about the only reason you've not seen more of it, I reckon.
Yeah.
I like the Impulsor. I think this is a B tier tank. I don't know what you think.
80 points is quite good for T9.
I think that's solid, yeah. I'd put this between our cheap and cheerful Towie Admech ones and above the Truck and the Taurox, maybe. Does that seem about right?
I think so.
Yeah, bang average, where Marines belong. Okay, so I am going to go for the Goliath Truck now. This is a GSC truck. It's T9. It's got the reroll woundsy thing. It has got an incredibly forgettable gun, and it can throw a demo charge at ballistic skill 5 as well. But it is full firing deck, and some of the units that can go in this are pretty spicy. You can have an entire firing deck of hand flamers, for example. That's not a bad thing at all. You can have good sort of acolyte sort of combat coming out of there, or metamorphs. I think ultimately it's not vital to most GSC builds. It's solid in Outlander, and you see 1 or 2 in Outlander where the detachments buff it. And it's solid in Brood Surge where you really want it for the melee units, for the pure strains eating out of it. But then you can definitely play GSC without it. And crucially also in GSC you have the Rock Grinder, which is just awesome. The Rock Grinder is really cool. It's got a big drill on the front. It's got a flamer. It's very, very powerful. And so I feel that it's probably down there with some of our other cheap and cheerful transports like the Taurox and the Truck. It's not a world beater in and of itself. Its content is kind of fine. You do see it used a lot, but you can build without it. So I'd probably put the Goliath in bottom of B. I don't know what you boys think.
Sure, I haven't played GSC for a long time. I think you would.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I resent paying points for them. It's 85 points, which is a lot, considering it literally does not chip in combat whatsoever. We've had a request about where the really useful box ranks, so I'm just going to quickly put that in the tier list.
Magnetized, really useful box. Where should it go? Good transport capacity, but lacks shooting output. Does it need shooting output? I would argue probably not. It just does its job so well. Got to be S tier.
It's got a good transport capacity.
Yeah.
Right. 1 second, boys. Keep talking. Buy me time here. Come on.
Well, yes.
We're nearly there. We're nearly there. It's in. There we go. So the really useful box is an interesting one, right? Ultimately, it does depend a little bit which army you're using it in as to how good the content is. And obviously certain things don't fit in it. I find the magnetization definitely helps with keeping things protected.
Essential.
So it's pretty durable and consistent. But what I really dislike about the really useful box is that you label it one day thinking this is what will be in it, and then after about 3 months, a completely different
constantly having to change its.
And so then you're just standing in front of someone with a box full of dinosaurs that says Cabal vehicles on the top, and they know that your life's a mess. Yeah. So I really dislike that about it. And and I have seen them dropped and broken.
The toughness isn't the greatest, is it?
The toughness isn't going to withstand a full calamity situation, so you don't want to expose.
They can be one shot by a las cannon, basically.
Yeah, they absolutely can, or by a really clumsy person. So I feel like it's just a workhorse. I think it's a B tier transport.
Oh, brutal!
Am I being harsh on it?
I mean, you just see them everywhere. They're in it. Like they're really.
No, you're right. You're right because everyone uses them.
Yeah, right.
Everyone uses them.
So that's got to be at least A tier.
You're right. I think probably we put it in A tier, top of A. Yeah, that's fair enough. And it's only its lack of offense that's laying it down. Tell you what, Chris, I'm going to let you off, and that can be your go.
Oh man, I had a really good one.
So, Rob, what's your next contribution?
Let's go for the Immolator.
Oh, good one. So, what do we think about Immolators, Rob?
Immolators, I think, are realistically the best transport in the game. They have the same rule with the two that are right at the top, where they split your big squads into small squads, so you get cheap. They have access to scout moves through Dominions, which is what you're putting in there.
Yep.
They have an invulnerable save and army rules that let you use cheat dice. They have 2 multi-melter shots. So I don't think many people are taking the flamers these days, but the 2 multi-melter shots that are twin linked.
Yeah, no, it's always the twin links. Yeah. Also, right. So let's talk about this for a second. Everything like that, this edition had 1 shot taken away to be given twin link, and they were like, "Nah, let's let them have both, and let them have reroll wounds on it
and miracle dice."
Ah! Yeah, full barrel makes sense, right?
The first time I got shot by one the other tournament, and that's 2 shots and twin linked. I was like, "What? This is like you're making this up, right?" No.
And I'll auto 16 damage it.
Yeah, this isn't fair and reasonable.
Yeah,
I've had games against Bringers of Flame Sisters where I kill 1 Immolator and then get tabled, and that's my game, and that has happened at least twice.
Yeah.
It's brutal. It's a very good, effective push tank. The content is annoying. Dominions are annoying and shoot well. The strat combination in Bringers of Flame is good, but I think it works as an annoying threat tank in several of the detachments, really. And it's just brutal.
It's durable, and its output is as good as any frontline battle tank you'll find, and it just happens to transport some of the best chaff units as well.
Yeah, exactly that. And it's the mini game of dealing with that, and Dominions is usually all an army manages before it's been brutalized by sisters right now. And it's so I think I would put the case for saying this probably pips the Sagittar, and becomes the very best.
Whoa! There's still some available options below Tom.
There is.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, there's the Tyrannocyte hasn't even been discussed yet. So let's discuss the Tyrannocyte. The Tyrannocyte is trash. It is a Tyranid drop pod that you will see every couple of years when Davey decides to try it, and then it goes away again. It's got a few shots hitting on 4s. It's got some whips, so it can fight. And it's a sort of drop pod type thing. But you just don't see it about because it's absolutely effing massive. And I don't think there's really anything in it in a Tyranid army right now that benefits much from being dropped in by a Tyrannocyte ready to do battle. Because none of the Tyranid infantry are particularly shooty right now. So it's just very dross, and I have not really seen it used for Tyranids at any point in this edition, really. So I've
points as well.
Yep, it's not cheap. It's not durable. I'd be inclined to say this is probably worse than the Ghost Art. And bung him straight in D.
And I hope, because there's 2 important elements of the 6++ viewership. We've got Tyranid fans. We've got a lot of Tyranid fans.
We do.
What our Tyranid fans especially love is people who don't know anything about Tyranids talking about Tyranids.
They love that. They absolutely love that.
They definitely don't ever comment on that. So,
not at all.
I hope, Tyranid fans, that you have appreciated our in-depth analysis.
Yeah, I think we've really done justice to the Tyrannosaurus. I feel like we understand it in depth, and I think it's trash. Cool. Okay. I've put the Razorback in because Sam Dunn asked, and we can cover the Grey Knight Razorback in a minute. So that tees up Chris to go, in fact. So we've got a few people. Ultimate Funk is in. Nice to have you here, Ultimate Funk. Asking, can someone explain why the Doom Rider is in D tier? Ultimate Funk, that is because we put it in B tier. And had you been here to stop us, it could have been different.
Yeah, you should have spoken up. You can rewind Ultimate Funk.
You can leave us a detailed expose on why we're wrong. We were. It's worth saying we were actually impressed with the Doom Rider. We were genuinely impressed with it. It's got a lot of shots. It's got a lot going on. I don't hate it as a tank at all.
It's cheap.
Ultimate Funk doesn't like that. Isn't having that at all. Mind blown. A lot of distress about the Doom Rider. But there we are.
Dave's just like take more robots. That's what Ultimate Funk has to do.
I'm pretty sure that Siegler was pissing about with Doom Riders recently.
Oh yeah, he was running like 4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can trust that there's vaguely something there. So Chris, do you want to talk about the Grey Knights Razorback and Razorback Kine?
Yeah, sure. I know a lot about the Razorback. I have regularly considered it on my on my list. So as we all know, it has fire support. So after this model is shot, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks, and then everyone got out of it gets to re-roll their wounds.
Nice.
And it can hold 6 Grey Knight infantry models. And that's not ideal because there's not really many power armor models that can go in there that wants to benefit from reroll wounds. It has probably got a twin las cannon, which is twin linked at 1 shot, not 2 shots.
Yeah, so that one was written before they decided to sell tanks of its kind.
And in terms of points, I mean, it's only 85 points, right? And the thing is, like, you do hear arguments for people taking a Grey Knight Rhino if you've got those spare, like, whatever Rhino is, 75, 80 points, simply because it gives the interceptors that extra move. It gives your armies like that extra move. That extra 3 inches can have quite a knock-on effect. You know, interceptors get out 3, auto advance 18, spend a CP so they have assault, fire and fade an additional 6. They can get anywhere onto a spot. And if you've got the extra 5 or 10 points, whatever it is, to have 2 las cannon shots on top, then cool. That's nice, I guess. China took some. I think it was China for their WTC list. Mm-hmm. Well, was it China? Maybe not. England played China, didn't they?
We did.
Yeah. And that wasn't him. No, there was one list. Maybe it was South Korea. One of the Asian countries, I'm sure, had like 1 or 2 Razorbacks in their list. Mm-hmm. So it's a choice, isn't it? It's a choice. I don't think it's a very good one.
No, neither do I.
In the grand scheme of Grey Knights specifically, that 85 points is probably better spent elsewhere, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think it has a very real claim to being the cutest Space Marine tank. Does that do anything for it?
It absolutely means it's therefore better than the Tyrannocyte.
Yes. And are we putting it there?
Oh, is it better than the Ghost Star? I mean, it's only 85 points, right?
Yeah. I think maybe it's the King of D.
Is it the King of D?
Does it get a hunter-killer missile?
That's a very good question. Obviously, as we all know,
it does.
Okay. Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
I think the Starweaver needs to get down into D, and I think.
Whoa! What the hell?
I think that's actually fuck it. I think the Starweaver's gonna go down below the Ghost Star.
I saw one Art of War video where Quentin Johnson took one Starweaver. I have never seen any video with a Razorback.
If Quentin Johnson dyed his hair blue, would you do it?
No. I do like the one Starweaver.
He has.
Oh, that's quite cool. He has.
Okay, excellent. So. the Razorback's, it's just so cute. Look at him. I'd love to have a Razorback tank someday.
I've got one or two. I've got a load of
nice. I've never owned one, actually. Okay, we're going to move it along to you, Rob. Only All-Stars left now.
I feel like I at least should leave one Drukhari one for you.
Oh, you're very sweet. Thank you.
So I'm going to go with Chimera. Let's go card heavy. So Chimera, it's dirt cheap. It's like 70 points, I think. Mm-hmm. It's as tough as anything else. It's T8 or 9 with 3 up save and 11 wounds.
Yep.
It can scout when there's Katachan or anything else with scout in it.
Yep.
And it's got a bucket load of strength 3 shooting and a couple of flamers. So it's great at path clearing. And you also get lethals into monsters and vehicles with that. So it's can't be ignored to chip a few wounds off something big as well.
Mm-hmm. It's a great tank.
It's a great tank. It gives extra movement on units that are already fast. You can issue orders outside of them. It's just really solid. It is really solid.
And in terms of the way the army plays, it's just Guard have some important tanks, and it is always able to be this annoying proactive thing that requires your anti-tank capabilities to deal with, which buys some of the other things in the army a bit of space. You can be so proactive with them. Again, if you haven't watched any of Nassim Fouchain's games from WTC, go and watch them and see Chimeras being used in very aggressive and rude ways. I think for its cost, it's a really effective little tank. Back when you could plug them into GSC, I was looking at a couple in GSC just because Katachan's and Chimeras was so good and so cheap. So where do you think?
Let's go. It's going to be like the top of B, I reckon.
I think so. Yeah. It's not like a world beater. It's not fundamental, but it's very good.
Yeah. Tempted to go a little higher, but top of B, I think.
Yeah, I see the temptation to go higher.
Bottom of A?
Let's put it in bottom of A and see how it looks. If you think that it costs the same as a Venom, and a Venom can be killed by some pistols and a grenade, and a Chimera can't, I think that's interesting. It doesn't have all the same applications, obviously, as a Venom. I'm then going to go for the Raider. And I think the Raider is an interesting one. Obviously, it combos really, really well with Sky Splinter. You can do some amazing things. It's got phenomenal reach. It's got get back in. It's got reactive move stuff. So it's an all-singing, all-dancing transport with the combination plays in Sky Splinter. I don't like it as much as the Venom, because it is still fragile. It is hard to hide. It's a bit unwieldy, and you really feel the parts of the board you can use it in are quite constrained. And it's very prone to being caught out because of a dodgy angle or something else. But at the same time, being able to deliver like a world-ending combat unit very far up the board from safety and punch someone, and then potentially re-embark, run away, do it all again, is really, really good. It requires a lot more setup than the Venom. So I'd be inclined to put this in A, but just below its buddy, the Venom. I think people really hate them. I think they are really annoying. I think because they get so much use out of the stratagems, the value of a Raider drops off aggressively after the first one, right? Because you cannot be getting them to do all the things you want them to do unless you have strats, whereas the Venom just does what it does. So that's kind of why I see it where I see it. But the uppercuts you can deliver with a Raider are still ridiculous, and I do love them. Oh, and also Auto Advance 20 is funny. It's funnier when you had old Pivot.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
It was really funny then. I did really enjoy just being able to just completely yeet out onto a wide deployment. But I still think the Raider is really, really good. Crazy Walrus Gaming is in the chat. He wants to know where Moth fits in. Well, it's a matter of time now. I'm going to hand over to you, Chris.
What's that? What's the other one apart from Moth?
Chaos Rhinos or Moth are your choices.
Oh, we'll go Chaos Rhino.
Oh, fuck you.
Let's have a nice group discussion about it.
Okay.
So, scary things. But my experience, I haven't played into CSM. The last time I played into CSM, which wasn't just a billion tanks and things trying to blow me off the board, was when it was scary power armor Marines jumping out of Rhinos trying to blow me off the board.
Which is it's still very much a thing in
several when I played Eldar, and it was, that that bloody rhino would deploy in the middle, and then it would sidle up to the middle L, just off the middle objective, and then you'd have that disgusting wait for, or where are those, whatever they are, chosen or whatever, going to run off to try and chop you up. And that was an exciting time for everyone. So I guess it was good then. I mean, are you still seeing it in kind of vets lists and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so it's good in vets, it's good in Renegade Raiders, it's good in Pac-Man. It's still really useful. It's been nerfed, but it's still really useful. You still take them a lot. And I think it works. It's very common for World Eaters. If you're taking Berserkers, you're probably taking a Rhino. Thousand Suns, it's a bit meta dependent, but it has been very common. And you can do really fun things with obviously yeeting out your Lord of Forbidden Law double Doom bolting unit from the Rhino, just giving you extra reach and punch with that. I know Alexander Sacco played it that way at WTC.
I played a Suns Rhino that had 2 sorcerers in it. My God, the output from that thing was terrible.
Yes, that's the thing I think that elevates it above the Imperium ones is just that firing deck 2 for a lot of the Chaos armies is way better, because if you've got Plague Spewers in there or Flamers, Thousand Suns Sorcerers, or you're using pacts on it or rerolls. And I remember when Be'lakor pushed out when I was playing Demons into CSM, I lost that game because I was a lemon, but 2 Rhinos with chain cannons basically killed Be'lakor on their own. Like, it was ridiculous, the amount of shots coming out of those things. So I think the combination plays are better, and it's worth shouting out Death Guard. Obviously, Death Guard, most Death Guard lists across this edition have involved Plague Marines and Rhinos. They're just a staple of how the army plays. So I think the Chaos Rhinos had a really good time, having not been that common previously. I think it's had a very strong...
like, whenever I think of Chaos, not the only thing, but one of the things I would expect to see in a huge variety of lists is the Rhino.
Yeah.
Which would mean I'd be tempted to put it in A tier, just because
I would agree.
It's an integral part of so many lists.
Yeah, I would say so. And I think there's a case for saying it's in a good spot in A tier as well.
Is it better than a Venom, though, guys?
That is the question. What do you think, Rob?
It's actually got output and survivability, but if we didn't have a detachment that just relied on having transports...
I think that's the thing with it. Obviously, Renegade Raiders synergizes with Rhinos a little bit, and you can do some fun stuff with it.
Underneath the Venom.
Yeah. Is it above the Raider or underneath the Raider?
It's probably about equal, because we both...
So. I think to avoid accusations of Drukhari bias, we don't want to have both the Drukhari vehicles next to each other, so let's put it in between, because now we look impartial. Well done us. I think that's really clever.
Important.
Wonderful. Okay, and so that leaves... Oh, hold on. Zito said, join to hear Tom calling something the King of D. Nice, yeah, you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. And the Fates is really happy. Was happy, is now unhappy because we put the Rhino ahead of the Raider.
He's angry.
Oh, dear. Ultimate Funk is also suggesting a plain tier list. Yeah, nah, I don't want to do that. Maybe something else though. I am enjoying the unit focused tier list. They are good, so we'll let the community pick which one we do next. Rob, it falls to you now to categorize Moth.
So we don't know its full rules yet. All we've seen early previews of silhouettes of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It could be anything. It could have transport capacity. It could come in from anywhere.
It's got a lot of keywords.
We know a few things about Moth from pre-release, and one of the important things is that Moth itself costs 2,000 points, which does mean
causes an issue
that having contents for Moth is difficult. I think Moth is unique in being a dedicated transport that does across a game produce its own contents, which is how it's able to deploy. But obviously, that's a slightly more limited way of using it. And I think Moth struggles to trade into some of these other transports.
It's just so unpredictable.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that you have to roll to see what direction it goes.
That's it. The random movement. The random movement, exactly, yeah. And whenever there's like a change in the lighting, having to roll again is difficult. Yeah. So I think owners of Moth find it quite frustrating. And ultimately, I don't think people take Moth for its transport capacity. I think they take it for its tremendous damage and survivability,
Yes.
and its mass battle shocking
I was
effect.
gonna say mass battle shock. Just constant. Oh, you moved.
Yeah.
Battle shock. Yeah.
So I don't think the Moth is as good as the Immolator.
No. I mean, the points is what's
The
That's
question
the thing.
is it better or worse than a really useful box?
Oh God, it's tough, isn't it? A lot of people have both in their house.
Yes, that is a very good point. It's a tough one, guys. I didn't expect this to be such a.
Oh goodness! I think if Moth goes second against Immolators or Sagittars, it probably loses.
Yeah.
I think probably because the really useful box is very consistent. I think it's going to just edge Moth into the top of A.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Yeah. So I think that's about right. But again, yes, it's not ultimately what we judge Moth on. We know Moth has a lot more going on.
What I really enjoy is that there are some people here who are listening to this podcast for the very first time.
Hello to all of you, by the way.
No idea that this is the most in-jokes of all in-jokes that we have. So
we're
not going to explain it.
We're not going to explain it. All I'm going to say is we know that there's only Blood Angels coming out this year, and 6++ understand that for a lot of 40k players that's frustrating. So don't worry. Codex Moth will be dropping in the winter. That's all I'm going to say now. If you want to learn more about Moth, come to our Discord, get involved in the Moth chat, down in the faction chats. There's all sorts of content in there. But yeah, I think it's nice actually to see a tier list that it doesn't top. I think that bodes well for overall game balance and design. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. That is it for our dedicated transports tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will now stop my screen share. Like so. Beautiful.
Oh, hey, Rob.
Big.
Big Rob. We're going to do some podcast questions. I don't think we've got many in the Discord. So you in the chat, please do shoot us some questions. If you'd like questions answered, we will endeavour to answer them. Obviously, as ever, you can shoot us a super chat if you're so minded. That'd be lovely as a thank you for a good night's work. We are now going to go there. So let's go and have a look at the podcast questions. Our Discord is huge now. It's a bit of a labyrinth to find your way around. So we have a question from Sai. And Sai asks, if you had to be a bottom rung citizen on an imperial world, feudal, agri-world, hive, forge world, etc., what type of world would you choose? That's quite a good question. You both look utterly stumped by that.
All I can think is somewhere in Ultima because they seem to care about their people.
Yeah, you want to be under either the Ultramarines or the Salamanders, right? I think
Yeah.
those are the two. Those are the two that are pretty good dudes.
I mean, citizens quite low down aren't particularly treated that well.
No, they're not.
In someone's, I mean, I reckon, something like a hive city, if you get him the right gangs and that sort of thing, be pretty.
Chris backs himself to start a sort of gang of scoundrels and scrap to the top of Necromunda.
Well, have I not already?
Yeah, you literally have. Well done. Touche, sir. Touche. I would actually pick a feudal world, and hear me out.
Okay.
All the others sound like work expectations are going to be pretty intense. But I think if you're on a planet that's basically still like medieval,
farmer,
there's an outside chance of like peasant farmer time where you're like, you shift around a bit with a stick in the morning and then you basically get to lie under a hammock or whatever. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this. But I'm going feudal world. I'm gambling on very, very relaxed work ethic.
Those damn farmers in their hammocks.
not getting burned as a witch. How about you, Rob?
Let's go Hive City. It would be more fun. There'd be more going on. If you're going to die, you may as well enjoy yourself.
You could be in my gang, mate.
Doing it.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, let's do that.
It'd be good.
Absolutely.
We should play Necromunda.
Oh, mate, it's fun, but I think we've probably added too many systems to the roster, but we can definitely try it. For Necromunda, I want us to do a challenge where we all pick a gang, we build it in like a week, and then we have like a weekend playing Necromunda all together. That's what I think we should do.
Or we build it on Saturday and play it on Sunday.
I'd like us to build it in the week and play Sunday and Saturday.
Have some nice painted things then.
Yeah, exactly. Zito asked, does anyone actually know who it is to credit for the phrase "loves it" when you pass your saves? Everyone says it now. Yeah, I don't know, but I guess it's come from a similar place as that "love that for you" saying, which I also hear in 40k sometimes now when people make their saves. Love that for you. Really happy you made all your saves. Zito, if you want an alternative, I use either "they are" or "you are good at Warhammer." Just insert that instead. That's what if someone makes a bunch of saves, you just tell them they're good at Warhammer, or if you do it, you say "you are." Chris S asks, if you could trade in your car for a dedicated 40k transport, which one would you drive?
100% Venom. Sorry, 100%
Venom. Yeah, Venom would be rock and roll, right? Badass. Bit rubbish when it rains. Otherwise, very good.
Be good for the gang.
Tyrannosaur would be pretty jokes.
Rock up to
Chris just wiping acid off his clothes as he gets ready to go to school.
Just mass devastation everywhere as it's whipped and mutilated. Great, I'm in for that.
Yeah, I am. It's a tough one. I think I'll probably go with a Citar, just because very tough and sturdy. I feel like that's a family car. You could
be quite cramped.
People be safe in that. Would be cramped in there. Yeah. The scout move would help me get a head start on my way to work, so that'd be nice.
Nice.
Another question we had was, if you had to remove a faction from 40k, which one would it be and why? From Cat something.
And someone else was like, and why should it be Eldar?
There was the usual arguments and some of the usual candidates came out. Who would you remove, Rob?
Fuck Knights. They're not fun.
Yeah, it's always Knights, isn't it? Just Imperial Knights.
I thought you'd go for Custodes, Tom.
Yeah, I do. Ooh. I don't like Custodes, but actually, I don't mind them existing. It's not. I would have
been happy with Custodes in the Agents book.
Yeah, I think I agree on that. And then I think that's almost everything. There was some appreciation of a James Milner reference. Thank you. We do like football references. But I think that's it for us. So we will now pack up and go away. Thanks very much for listening. We've had a great time. It's been a lot of fun. We've got an interview with former WTC and LGT champion Alexandra Sacco next week as we look to the LGT ahead. So that should be really, really fun. Going to pick the brains of a man who's been inside a WTC winning team very, very recently and one of the young guns of 40k. So we shall see you all again for that. Bye-bye.